Hey folks, welcome back to Squadzilla, episode 4. We just finished watching Godzilla vs. Mothra, which is the, as you can probably guess, the 4th movie of the series, since this is the 4th episode of our podcast. And joining me again is Tommy Oliver and Jax. And I'm just going to pass it off to you guys, because this is not your first time seeing this film, but it was for me.
Yeah.
It was my first time watching it in Japanese. I've always watched the dub back on TNT's Monster Vision.
Same.
This is also probably the first time I've watched this movie without commercial interruptions because I would watch it on TV. So it proves the pacing pretty significantly. This is the beginning of a trend of injustices against Godzilla, defeated by worms. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Happens multiple times from here on. Not happy about it. Was pissed about it when I was 5. 25 years later, I'm still mad about it.
Well, to be fair, he's still hungover from his fight with King Kong.
Yeah, I guess. Godzilla was a fucking drunkard in this movie.
Yeah, he was.
Like, he just like wakes up from a buried in the dirt, and just like,
Hey,
how the hell did I get here? You know, and then just kind of like fumbles about, trips over a couple buildings, goes in like multiple directions, and not
tries to eat a big ass egg for no reason.
Wait, hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong. First film, he died, oxygen destroyer. Second film, he got buried by ice. Third film, he fell in the water. We never saw him resurface. Fourth film, he fell in the water. We never saw him resurface. All right.
His batting average at the beginning is not great.
Yeah, exactly. This is before he became the OP god that we love and respect today. Because like this, like is it to me? I remember when I watched this movie as a kid. Like I always had like this notion of just like I don't understand why Mothra was able to like hold him off so well. Because again, like this is a type of movie that if you are a Godzilla fan now, like a recent Godzilla fan, like, and you go back and you're like, oh, I want to go back and watch the Godzilla things, or like Saberspark is doing right now. It's like, we're so used to Godzilla just being this tank, this beast, like, oh, I'm defeating all these different beasts. So like going back and just seeing him get like mollywomped by like a freaking stegosaurus, a gorilla, and a fucking 2 worms, it's just like, okay, like whatever, dude. Like it really just goes like, you should be owning these people, like, because you sort of have like this expectation for Godzilla just be like sort of like One Punch Man in the scenario of just like, okay, I got this, I don't have to worry about anything, I'm Godzilla, I can handle this like right now. But it's really funny because like, even to me as a kid, when I saw this movie, I was just like befuddled. I was like, how is a worm beating Godzilla? Why doesn't he just step on it? Why doesn't he just like crush it or fry it or obliterate, or you know, like something like that, like when I first saw this. And I will say this about the movie though, because like even though it's been years since I watched it, Tom mentioned a very good point like early on when we were watching it, is like because Saber said like, oh, 30 minutes, oh, where's Godzilla, oh, there he is, and it was just like,
it was like on the spot.
Captivate.
It was on the spot. It was like, is that like a running gag where it's like 30 minutes in, there he is?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think in the next movie he shows up sooner. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But like, and this it pretty much has been like 30 minutes on the spot. There he is, because it's like this was one of the first movies. Not the first movie. Besides the first movie, the first movie is just iconic. But like in the second and third movie, it's always sort of like, okay, where's Godzilla? Come on, get to Godzilla, or stuff like that. This is a movie where it's just like, oh, I'm actually interested. Like, okay, you got Asian Hitler over here. You got like, what is this? Egg people who's obsessed with eggs, and then you got like freaking fairies and all this other stuff like going on. It's like, what the heck's going on? And yeah, we should mention that like there was a Mothra movie prior to this, but since it's not part of the Godzilla-thon, we didn't like include it in the watch through. So like that was just some stuff was like, okay, well, where the heck did these come from, or something like that.
Right. I mean, I think something that's like interesting to mention right before we really start getting into it is like what, like you were saying, there was a half an hour of movie before Godzilla shows up, and normally when you're watching these films, especially the last couple ones, it's like, all right, can we just get to the monster fights? Mothra versus Godzilla has a good story and has like an interesting plot progression and like compelling enough characters. Like it's not gonna like win any awards or anything, but like you aren't bored waiting for the monsters to show up. Like this egg washes up on Japan, and then like this guy just buys it. like he swindles a bunch of like local fishermen into buying this egg for like pennies on the dollar, and is trying to like open up like some sort of like theme park or something, like make money off of it. And it's like clearly trying to be like, okay, there's like a, you know, an anti-capitalist message, and like talking about like how this kind of like cold corporate outlook on everything is like not respecting like nature, or just like the scientific and just kind of like natural value of this like wonder of the world, so to speak. And like it's just it's not like anything super crazy, but it's enough to like keep you invested and keep you interested. So when Godzilla did show up, you're like, oh yeah, Godzilla's in this fucking movie,
which is good. That's it. I was invested. Actually, you know, before I continue, Tom, give us a quick synopsis of this film. Just a quick like 2-sentence synopsis, or not 2 sentences, but whatever you feel like is good enough to, so in case the audience doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah,
sure. To sum this up really quickly, I guess the best way to put it is just that it's a movie about examining modern sort of capitalistic culture. There's a lot more going on in this movie than the last couple ones, where it's just like setting up scenes so Kong and Godzilla can fight. Like it's trying to say something a bit more, you know, like one of the things I said as a joke, but as the movie went on, like it could be almost like done on purpose, is that like you have the two fairies are introduced in this movie, which are just kind of like the
messengers of Mothra.
Yeah, like the messengers of Mothra. There's a better word I'm trying to think of. Emissaries, I suppose.
Yeah, emissaries. That's a good one.
Mothra's emissaries, and they return almost every time Mothra shows up. But it's like they're trying to like talk to this like business tycoon guy to like, hey, give us the egg back. You know, it's like it's ours. Like it's, you know, there was nuclear testing done on Birth Island, where a bunch of people live. And they just decided to nuke it, I guess, and fuck all these people's lives up. These like
bunch
natives.
Of villagers, yeah, those natives got completely screwed.
I guess we're okay with nuking them for the greater good? ? And so the egg gets dislodged from Birth Island and like floated through the ocean and ended up on the coast of like this like fishing village. And so they're like, we want our egg back. You know, that's like our deity, pretty much. And he's like, nah, man, I'm gonna sell it. And it's just like the fairies are these little tiny like, you know, like foot tall people that's never
look like dolls.
Yeah, we don't know why they're 1 foot tall. It's never explained. You're just like, you just fucking roll with it, I guess, ? It was weird, like one of the off comments I was making while we were watching it. Are they like small tiny fairies because it's like supposed to represent like a small grassroots movement versus like big corporate interests? Because like these two business tycoons are like obviously like normal size and they have tons of money, just have like a fucking shelf full of cash just sitting in their room for no apparent reason, just to make them as much twirling as possible.
Businessmen do.
Yeah, of course.
They have all the hallmarks of your typical corporate greedy business guy. Cigar, suits, whiskey, a cabinet full of money that's not even locked up.
All right.
It's wonderful.
They're playing it pretty straight, of just like the guys writing the script clearly have a, you know, a chip on their shoulder when it comes to capitalism and just corporate interest in general. So
it is quite interesting how they casually just introduce like, oh, it's the Mothra twins, it's the Mothra egg, it's Mothra, and it's like, oh yes, of course, Mothra.
yeah.
Oh yes, of course. You watched Mothra, right? The movie for this. Oh well.
Yeah. And it's like, obviously I'm not fazed by it because this is like something I just grew up with, but you know, to someone who hasn't seen the movies before, it's like, we're not gonna break this down at all or anything. I don't know, it's just the characters are entertaining. You know, our main cast, they work at a newspaper, and they're just they go just initially to be like, oh, what the fuck is this egg, let's figure it out. And they kind of get embroiled into this whole situation of these emissaries of Mothra trying to get their egg back. And then Godzilla shows up, and then they're just like, well, fuck, Godzilla's wrecking our shit, we need Mothra to fight Godzilla. And they go to Birth Island, and they're like, yo, can we borrow your god for a bit? And they're just like, you kind of nuked us. No, go fuck yourselves, you evil devils, and your hellfire that you dropped on us will pass. Thank you very much. But they make an emotional plea as the woman does her woman job to be emotional and have that role. And so they do. And then Mothra and Godzilla fight. And honestly, I thought the fight was probably like the least interesting part of the movie. The choreography was not great. I think it was kind of a step down from the Kong versus Godzilla choreography.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like it's a freaking flying bug versus a
Exactly.
lizard man, so it's
Right,
just like
there's not
there's
much-
not like you can have like fighting, like throwing around and stuff.
But even Godzilla, like it felt that very clumsy, very
Yeah.
clunky in terms of
Mhm.
like how I feel like the suit must not have had great visibility compared to the last one.
Exactly.
It's-
Like this one, I like honestly, like I don't know if we talked about it in the last couple episodes, but like with the Godzilla suit, we always just think like, okay, it's this heavy, the actor's like in a lot of pain and stuff like that. But like this was like the first time I really wondered like where are like the eye holes that he sees at it? Because I know he doesn't look out through the eyes up there and stuff like that. There has to be like something different because like it felt like he just was like looking through the neck portion of the costume where he was walking, like he couldn't see crap. And then like we even made jokes, like there's a part where Godzilla knocks over this like phone tower, and then it's just like that honestly looked like the actor tripped over something, and then we're just like, we can use this as footage, so let's keep this up. So it's just there is just a lot of that going on. I agree with that like completely.
Yeah, so I mean the fight is less about being visually impressive just because it doesn't have a lot, and they do a lot of the weird speed up stuff that was from Raids Again, which just looks strange. And there are times where like they clearly are trying to do some choreography where it's just like models, like little tiny models of the monsters and not the suits, and those kind of like stick out to you, especially when you're watching it in HD like we are. So it's like very clear the image is like shifting between models and the suit actors and stuff. And similarly to Raids Again, like the last sequence when the egg hatches and the two larvae tool on Godzilla, they just like hold on them like webbing up Godzilla for like 5 minutes. And
It's too long.
Yeah,
I get it.
is.
I get it. And it's just like you're just padding the runtime at this point. But yeah, I mean the fights are serviceable, and it's like, you know, it's iconic. It's Godzilla and Mothra in the same movie. These are like Toho's two big ticket items at the time.
Right,
But
right.
I thought the beginning was a lot more engaging, where it's just like these fucking business guys dealing with this egg, and like our main cast trying to just kind of see how it goes down and everything. Like that was just good storytelling.
It was like that again, like to just keep going back to it, like the fact that we didn't even need Godzilla for those first 30 minutes, like indicated that they did a really good job with like investing us in the story of what was going on. And then like the whole thing with like, oh, there's Mothra, oh, there's the fairies, oh, this is going on, like, oh, Mothra just got domed by Godzilla. It's just like there's just like a bunch of things that happen that like at the beginning it was like it started off like, okay, it's building up, and then like it just started steadily down. Because I agree with like what Saber and Tommy just said right here of like the ending, it just felt so repetitive. Like there were some scenes, like I don't know, like there's like certain moments like when you watch something where it's just like, okay, this would be a good time to just cut it right here. All right, end the movie. That works, even though it makes no sense. Godzilla's getting done, whatever. It makes sense. Like you cut it right here, because like the end scene is just like, it felt very much like, okay, we're super proud of this effect and we want to keep doing it. Or like, because I don't know, like, do they have to have like, is there some, because I remember hearing something on some YouTube video, I don't know if it was a joke or not, where they're saying like movie lengths have to be like a certain time.
They do.
Sometimes, okay, so like, is that why they did it then? Like they had to like pad it out the ending?
Possibly. Cause the worst part is when it's just so derivative, where it's like you're not adding anything new to the scene. So to answer your question, I'm not sure. Possibly, it could be different for Japan, because like you can't have like a 40-minute long movie in the theater. Cause it's like,
well, exactly. Yeah, because like it was close to 90. Well, the last 4 movies have been 90 minutes, so it's just like they were getting through them. So it's just I was wondering if they had to, like, it was just like, oh well, we're at an hour and 10 minutes instead of an hour and like 20 or something like that. So let's like span this out.
Well, as the newbie, here are my thoughts. I thought the human characters, actors, whatever, much more interesting than anything from before. They did a better job of establishing themselves as, here's my personality. And that's like one of the most important thing with these characters. It's like, I feel like a lot of these human characters are like empty. Like, oh, I'm just, here's the guy. I'm the dumb woman. I scream. And by the way, when I say that, watch the Godzilla films. They're the ones establishing those tropes where it's like, we need the dumb woman, the annoying woman, for the male character to go, calm yourself and shake him or something.
Exactly.
Literally, the first line of this entire film is the main character belittling the woman for being an idiot.
Yes, yeah. It's there's some high tone sexism. It's interesting, just seeing how it's like, oh yeah, that's right. Godzilla. These are old school movies from the 50s, and from the 60s. And I'm sure it'll improve as time goes on. Hopefully. You guys will have to tell me or not. Good human characters, at least a lot more interesting. They carried the film for the first 1/3. Godzilla showing up, just kind of lumbering around, like you all said, he was a bit of a dum-dum, where he's just clumsy. Props to the guy in the suit. He is a champ. He takes it on the chin, falling down, like he broke his ankle at one point. The way he like missed a step and slid and fell into a building. I was like, I don't know at what point this is deliberate or an accident, but I guess to the cameraman, it's like, it's good. Use it. Mothra looked a bit silly. All these monsters look silly. I feel like that's going to be the case moving forward for a good long while. And that's because
Godzilla looked super angry in this movie, which I like a little bit because like his
he had a glare.
Yeah, his glare, his glare was just like, I'm fucking pissed. I'm drunk or high or whatever. Like I'm angry. He was gone.
It's funny starting to see the like tropes of it all though, where it's like, yes, the part of the movie where the military fails, and that's starting to make itself quite evident, where it's like, I'm gonna see these tanks a lot, aren't I? Like, roll them in. All right, word. Yes. Well, what do you all think, as folks who've grown up with this stuff and watched it? What are your favorite parts about this film?
Well, my favorite parts about the film were just like I said earlier, like the whole beginning part. Like as a kid, my favorite part was always like just watching Mothra do the thing. But then like I thought that was like a love-hate thing, because like as a kid, I loved seeing Mothra like, grab Godzilla by the tail and drag him around and then do like the wing attack. But then like at the end, when like the worms did it, I always thought that was dumb. Like that was just silly to me as a kid. Like, why are worms beating Godzilla? It makes no sense. But again, like I thought the whole thing with all the lore of like, the kids, because like honestly, looking at what I liked as a kid versus what I like now, it's like so different. Because like as a kid, it was just pretty much just like, monsters fighting. I don't care about any human whatever. I don't give a damn. But so that was pretty much my level of enjoyment for kid self. But for this, it was just like, no, I'm enjoying like what Tom said with like the beginning of the movie, like the capitalism and like all these fairies are saying like, no, we need to not do this. This is our egg. This is how we do this thing. And then like just how it went from there. I really found that enjoyable. It just like when Godzilla, I think for me, it started to dip a little bit when Godzilla killed the original Mothra, and then like it was just like, okay, yeah, like we have to hatch this egg and do that. Like that was the dipping point where it was just like it didn't make me like hate the movie or think it was like boring at all, but it was just like that was the part where I was like, okay,
you're right.
I'm starting to think it's a decrease for me.
Pacing,
was
a bit was noticeably different.
I think it's just because like the entire conflict up to that point was Mothra, Godzilla, like keeping the egg safe and like finding out what's going to happen with the egg. And so when the business characters die, Godzilla kills them in his like initial rampage. The egg hatches, so it's no longer a plot device. And the conflict that the movie was built up to, the original adult Mothra versus Godzilla, is resolved. Everything else after that really doesn't have any stakes that's built up towards.
True.
Right.
This story at that point hinges on the audience like being afraid that Godzilla is going to destroy Japan, but like that's why I'm here. I'm here to see that happen. So there's really no like investment in the small Mothras from me as a viewer to do anything. Like they can just go fucking piss off. It's fine. Just like Godzilla smash some stuff, roll credits. So I think it just kind of loses a bit of the narrative tension that everything else was kind of working towards.
You're absolutely right. That is a very good observation.
Exactly.
It's like, I don't know who these worms are. I don't care. Go back to Mothra. Exactly. But I guess that's part of Mothra's, like, I guess it kind of is sowing the seeds moving forward with the franchise, where it's like I asked you guys during the movie, where I'm like, yeah, Mothra kind of dies in like this larva stuff. Is like, is it a recurring thing where is it only a movie thing, or does she die and rebirth all the time throughout the series?
Yeah, and it's just like a common thing, like because even like in the talking about like how in King of Monsters, Mothra like dies in that movie, and it's just like, at the end they even talk about, and they even said it in the movie, how like she's like reborn and they find like a Mothra egg in the credits and stuff like that. So it's like it's always constantly like Mothra just is like constantly reincarnating in different like forms and stuff like that. Like the spirit will go away and like rebirth, or like it's like a species, but like the spirit carries over.
Okay, word.
Yeah.
Well, any other final thoughts here on the movie, or?
I'd only watched this movie a couple times because as a kid I didn't want to see my boy get rocked in the most embarrassing way possible.
Yeah, by fucking worms.
But from what little I know about like the critical consensus of these movies, Mothra versus Godzilla is considered one of the best of the Showa era and just one of the best in general. And watching it as an adult with an adult mindset in the original Japanese, yeah, it definitely holds up. It feels like it's the most substantial movie since the original out of the ones that we've watched so far.
Mm-hmm.
I think it definitely feels more like a legitimate movie and not just an excuse to have guys in rubber suits punch, which could probably be described of the kind of the last one since the original.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
Jax, anything from you?
Again, like as a kid, I really went into this with a shallow mindset. I just fight each other. As an adult, pretty much everything Tommy just said, I agree. Like I enjoyed the first half so much better, but again, like I will say, like that part when Mothra was killed by Godzilla and then like the egg starts hatching, that's where the movie starts to sink. But that's like further into the movie. Like I think they first, like Mothra and Godzilla, like this is a 90-minute movie, and like the first like hour, like Mothra and him don't fight till like an hour in, and so it's just like, okay, that's like an hour of the movie. That's like a good chunk of the movie. Like the majority of the movie is like really good and has me captivated, and then like it was just those last 30 minutes to start to dip. So to me, that's a win. I count that as a win, and I think it is one of the great Godzilla movies, and would highly recommend it.
All right, Jens, what's the next one?
Invasion of the Astro Monster.
So you get to
first
see our boy.
appearance of King Ghidorah.
Yeah, this weird noise.
The main antagonist of the Godzilla franchise makes his debut in the next film.
Yep. Yes.
All right, awesome. Folks, thank you for joining us. We'll be back next time. See ya.
Booyah. Peace out.